Chairwoman Waters, Ranking Member McHenry, and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. On behalf of the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, I commend Chairwoman Waters for your leadership on the Housing is Infrastructure Act of 2019. The investments proposed are badly needed and long overdue. Our country's affordable housing crisis has reached historic heights, most harming the lowest income people who earn less than the poverty line or 30% of area median incomes. Nationally, we have a shortage of over 7 million homes affordable and available to these lowest income people. In other words, there are fewer than 4 homes affordable and available to every 10 of the lowest income seniors, people with disabilities, or families with kids. No congressional district has an adequate supply of available rental homes affordable to its lowest income residents. As a result, nearly 8 million of the lowest income renter households pay more than half of their incomes towards housing, and over 500,000 people in our country have no homes at all. The private market cannot, on its own, meet the housing needs of the poorest renters. Without government intervention, decent and affordable homes cannot be reliably built, operated, and maintained at a price that the lowest income households can afford. Federal subsidies are necessary, but funding for such subsidies have been declining for decades. In addition to the tremendous need to produce homes affordable to the lowest income people, we must preserve our country's existing affordable housing infrastructure. Public housing, home to over 2.5 million low-income people, plays a critical role in addressing America's affordable housing needs. Congress has underfunded public housing for decades. Between 2000 and 2016, funding for public housing repairs was cut in half. With limited funding, public housing agencies are unable to make needed repairs to preserve these homes and these investments. Our country loses 10 to 15,000 public housing apartments annually to obsolescence or decay, and other units fall into deep disrepair. The funding needed to address capital repairs in public housing is estimated to exceed $50 billion today. An infrastructure spending package is an opportunity for Congress to respond. Like roads and bridges, affordable housing is a long-term asset that helps communities and families thrive. Investments in affordable homes increase economic mobility, strengthens communities, creates jobs, and lifts local economies. NLIHC strongly supports Chairwoman Waters' Housing is Infrastructure Act and its proposed investment of $5 billion to expand the National Housing Trust Fund, which would address the underlying cause of our affordable housing crisis, the severe shortage of homes affordable for the lowest income people. The Housing Trust Fund's first allocation of $170 million has allowed states to build or preserve 160 projects with over 1,900 Housing Trust Fund assisted homes, housing our country's most vulnerable people, those previously experiencing homelessness, youth exiting foster care, survivors of domestic violence, people with disabilities, seniors, veterans, and others. Funding for this successful and necessary program should be expanded to no less than the $5 billion proposed by Chairwoman Waters. We strongly support the Chairwoman's proposal to invest $70 billion for the Public Housing Capital Fund. This investment could quickly be used to repair America's deteriorating public housing infrastructure by fixing leaky roofs, replacing outdated heating systems, and remediating mold to improve the health and living conditions for millions, while creating local jobs and protecting a key piece of America's affordable rental housing stock. And we strongly support the proposed $2 billion to address critical housing needs in rural and tribal areas that have some of the country's most severe housing needs. As infrastructure bills move forward in Congress, NLIHC will monitor and oppose proposals attempting to increase income levels targeted by existing subsidized housing programs or to create new programs to subsidize middle-income market-rate housing. Using scarce federal dollars on market-rate housing is misguided and wasteful. In most areas of the country, the private market meets these needs. Where it doesn't, the federal government's role should be to incentivize or require local communities to decrease regulatory and zoning barriers to private sector development. Chairwoman Waters' CDBG set-aside proposal is a good step towards creating effective incentives. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before you today. I look forward to any questions you may have.